this is Martin Laird for the Orkney News, and I'm speaking to Electric Mother about their new album, Electric Mother 2. And we've got here Calum Elder, who's the vocalist, and Robert MacGregor, who's one of the guitarists. And we also have Eamonn Keyes on the line, audio only, it seems, who was the producer on the album. And I was keen to get Eamonn involved because I know that producers can have quite an important part to play in shaping the album, the sound, and even the songwriting sometimes. So thank you guys for joining me.
Thanks for having us.
It's a great album, and I've always felt personally that there was a bit of a lack of good metal coming out of Scotland, so I'm very happy to see something like this coming out of Orkney, particularly. So well done, guys.
Thanks
Thank
a lot.
you.
And what I want to speak to you about really is your creative process and how you wrote your songs, and I believe it took a long time to create the album, is that right?
Yeah, but that was more kind of due to just life, basically, pandemics, and we all have full-time jobs and that there wasn't a problem with the writing the music. The music was quite easy.
Right.
Really.
So were the songs all mostly written before the pandemic then?
Yeah. They were all written before the pandemic. The last one being written at the end of probably 2019, I would say. Probably even before that, yeah.
I haven't poured over the lyrics in great detail or anything, but I did notice that one of the songs was referencing wearing masks, and it seemed quite appropriate for the times.
Yeah.
Is that just coincidence?
That's just a happy coinkydink.
Very good.
Yeah, that song was probably one of the first ones from the album written, I think.
Which one is that?
I think it'd be Icarus, is it?
That's been around for quite a while.
Right.
Yeah, that's been around for a couple of years. So yeah, it's quite a happy coincidence. Well, I don't know if a happy coincidence is the right way to put it, but
well, it did stand out anyway.
Yeah.
So in terms of the songwriting, do you work together as a group, or do you come up with ideas individually? Or
there's no set structure to that. If you've got a song and you've got a vision with it, the band just more or less allows you to do that, which is really cool. But it's the process of like just taking maybe a couple of ideas along and jamming them, and everybody gets their everybody gets their kind of bit in it. That works really well too. So you've got songs there that on the album that have been written entirely by more or less one person, or predominantly by one person, or a lot of them, the ones I prefer, the ones that we've all had a lot of input in.
Right.
Yeah. So I think Calum basically, he listens to the stuff while we're there. We send him recordings, and he kind of snowballs with the lyrics and the melody kind of idea for that. It's kind of obviously his department.
So you're the only lyricist in Calum, is that right?
Yeah, that's right on this album. Generally, as Bob was saying, I'm at most of the practices and hear what the boys come up with, and from there I come up with a melody to what they've jammed. Usually involve taking a video of it on my phone or whatever, so I can take it away and work with it. And from there, sometimes I come up with just an idea for a song. So like, say, have one specific theme and go that way. Sometimes it's words that go with the melody or fit in with the melody at a certain point in the song. But yeah, generally once I've got a melody worked out, it's not too hard then to write lyrics to.
Right.
There's no shortage of things in the world to write about. It's just
that's true.
I seem to remember Treacherous. You had the lyrics to Treacherous already.
Yeah, that was a rare occurrence where I'd actually written the song before hearing the music. Well, before there was even a song. It's just came as a poem, probably more than anything.
Would you say they're all written from your point of view, or are you playing characters or taking inspiration from other things?
I would say a bit of both, maybe. I try to have as much sort of meaning in a song, and maybe
Hey.
there's a picture of Eamon.
Everything I could find.
Maybe have a double meaning underneath, a bit of subtext almost to each song. So there's maybe a bit more for the listener to work out than just the plain old what's on the paper.
That's good. I definitely approve of that approach. Quite poetic.
Thanks. Yeah. I enjoy that process though. Trying to make it as sort of intricate as I can without being too waffly or, pretentious. Sounds really pretentious though.
There's quite an obvious improvement lyrically from the first album to the second album, I'd say anyway.
Yeah. No songs about being a male prostitute.
Not this one.
Right. Well, I think that's everything I had to ask about songwriting, unless there's anything else you want to say about it.
Not really. It's a lot of it's just jammed, really. It's,
keeping like scrapbooks of riffs on your phone or something.
Yeah, I've got probably Pandy's quite good at that as well, but I've got hundreds of snippets of early recordings and that, or just ideas. There's we're quite lucky that we've got quite a whole lot of stuff we can go back to and say, just see it through different eyes again, and then take parts and moving them about or whatever. So yeah,
right.
It's one of the things when I get a new phone is make sure I transfer all that stuff across to the new one.
Yeah, you don't want to lose it like
lost.
Kirk Hammett did.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, poor Kirk.
Yeah.
I was also, when it came to the recording, recording the vocals, it was quite good to go in and work with Eamon, because I have like blinkers on when it comes to, all right, that's my lyrics and that's how it should sound and things. But Eamon introduced a few different approaches to how lyrics would maybe flow better with some different wording, different phrasing, and maybe some harmonies, etc. when we were recording, which ultimately I think stepped it up a notch and made it sound and flow a lot better.
Vocals are quite varied, I thought, and it's very good, but it goes the spectrum from like hardcore kind of in places shouting, and then obviously more melodic singing as well.
Yeah.
So is that something that Eamon's kind of encouraged and brought out?
I think so, yeah. I think he encouraged a bit of dynamism in it, and we focused on it a lot more than the last album, so there was a lot more time spent on getting it right and getting it sounding as good as possible.
Do you have anything to add to that, Eamonn?
Yeah, I mean, I think that having listened to the last album, the first album, what struck me was that I thought more could be done with the vocals. And when I initially heard the band live, I could see a lot of stuff in there which I thought could be teased out a bit more, and particularly on the vocal side. It's difficult when you're live because it's about being heard, I think, for Calum, and just yell as loud as you can. And I think there has to be room for recording process is very different from live. You've got to approach it in a different way. And it was about finding what was right for each song, finding something that would bring a colour to a song, that would bring the dynamics, which Calum was talking about there, and a character almost to each song. So that's you'll find the vocals were different at different times because we were trying different techniques to try and suit the song. And we did spend a lot of time on it, but I think it was time well spent, because if there's anything which really is the big difference, I think the vocals in this album have become a very distinguishing. And I'd give Calum, I think, room to breathe and room to bring forward his stuff, which is always difficult in the live setting.
Did you find working over on a long period of time, did the songs change at all, or was it hard to keep it consistent in terms of sound?
I think that they didn't change, really. I think the songs were largely set from the start. I mean, they were sort of made slight changes or slight tonal
There's
change?
more changing in the beginning with a couple of songs. Treacherous and Crucified, they changed slightly, but then once we got into that kind of pattern and when we were on board with Eamon, the stuff that came after that didn't need to be changed so much because we kind of knew how it was going to be or how we wanted it to sound, So the songs that were written later, which would be like especially like Piety and Begotten, they both kind of they seem quite structure wise, they're complicated. There's different time signatures and things that came really naturally, actually.
Yeah, I think it was part of the evolutionary process that the band was going through. I think when you meet up and you meet with somebody you're going to work with, it takes a while. So I think to establish trust and to give a level playing field so that everybody feels on the right wavelength. And after that, there wasn't very much. The guys knew exactly what they were doing. That they were writing very, very good songs. And I think that the longer the process went on, the better the songs were getting. For me, definitely in terms of structure, in terms of interest in the songs, there was a lot of interesting stuff going on. With, for example, with the time signatures, I think, which is great. And God, you always get that feeling if we'd gone for another 3 years, it'd probably end up being a complete masterpieces. Some would all be dead by then.
Well, that'll have to be the next album, won't it?
Yeah. But the thing is, it's an ongoing process anyway. The songs don't stop coming. You don't just stop. That's that album. It's a continual process. So there's always new stuff coming up anyway. As far as I'm concerned, I'm always recording stuff anyway.
I can think of instances where producers have had quite a harmful effect on bands, and you guys seem to have had a very good relationship, so that's good.
We get on. Well. We all get on. That's first and foremost. I think we're friends as well. So there's opinions are taken on board and they're digested. There's no like a stonewall kind of attitude. This is our way.
Yeah.
Everybody's opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody really took offense to anything that was suggested, or we were all kind of willing to try things out and take on board what each other was saying, and I think it worked pretty well.
So was the recording pretty much complete as well then before the pandemic?
Yeah, a majority of it. When did you finish your singing, Calum? Was it last year? Was it?
Yeah, me and Eamon finished off the last of the vocals when the lockdown broke last summer, kind of. So we managed to get a few sessions in then just to tidy up loose ends and add what needed to be added.
Yeah. So before that, were you recording together as a band in one place, or were you recording separately? And
the drums were recorded with everybody there playing to get that kind of live kind of feel. But then the guitars, just because of the amount of volume and amount of noise that's going on, everything else was recorded layers separately. Just so we could just have our own sounds and not get distracted by things too. Also, just a premises to record up here is quite hard. So we had to have somewhere we could actually do that at volume, or at Eamonn's house as well, where we record some stuff too. So the facility wise, there's not really anywhere up here, I think, that is purposely for us to record in. Really, John's a very loud drummer. Me and Pandy play really loud guitars. Callum's got to try and sing.
And I'm a wallflower. I'm just a shy, retiring wallflower in the background. Just trying to be heard.
Yeah, so
it was a challenge. The whole lockdown thing was a real challenge because at that point we wanted to get on with things, and there was just a few overdubs that had to be done in terms of the guitars and what have you. Maybe a bit of bass, because I think I did the bass. We did B with Ian during that.
Yeah.
Some of the tracks were still taking part, but I think the main thing was the vocals and trying to make sure that the vocals were going to be right for this, because that's what people listen to, unless they're guitarists. It becomes the center point of what the band's about, and it was about getting that right. to give an accurate representation of the band. And you were speaking earlier about producers being bad for bands. The important thing with being a producer is not to get in the way of the band. But you've got to actually get an idea of what the band are about, get an idea of what their identity is, and try and bring that out as much as possible. And to a degree, it's probably a shared vision. It has to be a shared vision to make it successful.
Mm-hmm. Well, I was thinking of an instance where the producer actually convinced the band to change their name as well as their sound, so that didn't go well. But anyway, in terms of the recording space, because you didn't have a purpose-built recording studio, it sounds like, was that a problem for you in the production, Eamon?
Not really. I think that you can, if you've got a half-decent room, you can do anything in it. And we were lucky to get Pandy's dad, Alan, who let us use one of his rooms, which he was renovating, and it was great. Sticking the drums in there because there was a lot of wood.
Right. The drum sounded amazing.
That's when things really started coming together, because we'd been struggling trying to find a place, and the sound wasn't happening with this really first trial we had, and we moved in there right away. When you've got your foundation, which is the drums, and it's sounding good, it can only get better from then on. If you have a crap drum sound at the start, then you're in trouble. And John was really happy with the sound he was getting. And it does. It still, I listen to it and I think, wow, that sounds so.
So it was a very live sounding drum, like it was just a full body kind of room, It was you could just hear it was all done in a kind of live kind of situation.
I think that does come across. Yeah, that's good. Okay. Well, you had a pretty experienced mastering engineer work on this as well, I believe. Is that Pete Maher, is it, or Mayer?
Mayer, I think, maybe. Yeah.
So what did he bring to the table?
Another set of ears, I guess.
Yeah, an outside influence.
Yeah, it's nice to put things to people and get a good opinion back from them as well. But Calum dealt with Pete more often than anybody else. So,
did he have much constructive criticism or advice for you?
No, he was actually very happy with how it sounded when he got it. I think Eamon had done a very good job of mixing it already.
Right.
So Pete then, he just brought everything up to the same level, same volume and things like that, and basically polished it to make it fit for. Well, you need different formats, obviously, for digital, for vinyl, for CD, for YouTube, for everything. So you want it all to be sitting at the same level. Mm-hmm. So that's what he did. He worked on all of those kind of things. I don't know, Eamon, if you found anything massive from what he did.
Not really. I mean, he did. It does produce a lot of polish on it. I sent the mixes off, and I'd said to him, "Okay, Pete, there you go. If there's anything wrong, or there's anything you feel where it could be improved in terms of balance or whatever, by all means, let us know." And he just says, "No, it's a good tight production, and there's nothing I can really say about it because it sounds fine."
Because we're the best ever.
That's his. Anyway, Pete's job is to really get this up to a standard. It's about compression. It's about getting the levels up. It's to make it.
He's just got a button that he presses. It goes awesome.
Awesome, yeah.
Sounds like an easy job.
Yeah, there's that. Yes, but so he did. I heard he done a very, very good job on it. It did sound more polished at the end. There's less maybe a little bit less dynamics, but you get that sheen on it, which makes it sound proper. And I was really pleased when I heard them. He's a very experienced guy. Yeah.
And you've got a good artist doing your cover art as well. So that's an impressive piece of work.
So, yeah, definitely.
How long did that take to put together?
Oh, we talked.
It was a wee while.
A couple of years ago, we had a meeting with him when we could go to the pubs. We met him in the flat in Stromness, and we just kind of laid out what kind of band we were, what kind of influences we had and what we kind of wanted to look for. But it was actually Calum that he found. Well, he'd looked at some of Shaun's work, and he came up with some ideas. We had a chat on Messenger, and he put up some of the ideas that we had, and he was just, it looked fantastic from the get-go, like, and it was all supposed to be kind of deliberately done for a gatefold album.
Mm-hmm.
So we took that on board. So when you open up the packaging and all this, so you get the works, and the CD as well. I think it looks pretty amazing. It's done a fantastic job.
And this is Shaun Gardiner. Did he paint that as an actual painting, or is it done digitally? Or?
He painted it.
Did he?
No, he painted it. He painted it with Indian ink. Yeah. And then scanned it to digitize it. And that way then he can take aspects from it and move them around or pluck one out, and, you could use that as an isolated image. But yeah, it was all pencil ink and Indian ink, watered down Indian ink. I think he used to paint it.
I heard he used fuzzy felt.
Yeah. Crayons and bogies.
Right.
Yeah. I actually first time I saw any of Shaun's stuff was in the Peter Art Centre in Stromness. He was part of I think it might have been a college exhibition or something like that. So once I saw his stuff, I then went and searched for him online, and found a lot more of his bits and pieces, like through like Facebook and things. And yeah, just I always kind of had him in the back of my mind to approach to when it came to doing some album artwork for the next one.
And did he do the logo design as well?
Yep.
So I thought the font work was really good. I thought, it's all horizontal lines.
Yeah.
It works really well.
Yeah, we kind of, he made it. We kind of discussed it as a group, what we would like, something a bit different, simplified, something that'll stand out a wee bit. So there was a number of different, there's a number of different designs he came up with, which were, they were all equally as cool, but I think we all kind of generally as a group decided on this one.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Well, what's next for you then with the current situation? Because obviously your album's come out and you're not able to tour or support it.
No, nobody else can do anything either. So
no, people are going to be desperate once we can go to gigs. I think that'll kick off. But
it'll happen again, right enough. We do have one gig booked, but that's away in November, isn't it? But whether that happens or not, I don't know. Nobody else can play or tour or gig either. So we just thought, once we got the CDs home, the LPs and the CDs home, the CDs came home really quickly. We just thought, well, let's just choose a date and go for it. We had a digital release date kind of in mind anyway, because we had to get that sorted as well. So it just kind of coincided. So we just thought, why not go for it? And I think it was the right thing to do, to be honest with you.
So when you were touring, how far afield did you get?
Well, tours are kind of a loose term for us, like, because we all work. It's normally never more than say 2 or 3 gigs, and then it's back home again.
Right.
But the furthest south we got was we played at Bloodstock, which is about kind of Birmingham kind of area. So and other than that, it was all in Scotland. So it was all Edinburgh, Glasgow, Inverness, Perth, kind of idea, Aberdeen, Shetland.
There was one really cool festival, the Full Metal Haggis. So where was that? It was like in the middle of the mountains somewhere.
Yeah, that was kind of weird. About an hour out of Aberdeen, I think, or
Yeah, it was really cool and like a very, very good setup.
Very professional.
Wasn't particularly well attended for some reason. I think it might have clashed with something. It clashed
with another festival. That's what it was. A bigger festival.
So it was a bit of, like it could have been a really good first ever festival for them as a launch pad onto something that would happen every year, but we'll have to wait and see if it happens again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the live music scene in Orkney and Scotland in general?
It's good, I think.
It is good. The further south you go, people are surprised to see a band from Orkney sounding like we do.
And we don't turn up with accordions or things like that.
Yeah, exactly. We did a couple of heats for a kind of battle of the bands kind of thing, battle for Bloodstock thing it was, and because we weren't wearing camouflaged shorts and death metal t-shirts, they totally wrote us off. But they were shocked when we played, like they really were, So up here there's a decent scene, really, I guess. You speak to bands from Shetland and they think Orkney's got a better scene, but I think there's probably as much of a scene up there as well. It's just how you see it, I guess, really. But playing south, it's good. It's good fun because it's almost like permanently being the underdog, but you've got the goods,
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
I mean, when I came to Orkney originally about 5-6 years ago, it was the thing that struck me. Just the expertise of the band. You could see that there was a lot going on. They were all very good players. They knew exactly what they were doing, and I didn't expect to find that up here at all. I did, I did expect to find sort of lots of fiddles, and of course, which you do have. But I walked in the motor house one night, and the band were getting a laldy up there, and it was really good to see the expertise. I knew Pandy was like a really good guitarist anyway, because I'd met him when he was a kid about 5 or 6 years earlier. But to see it, to see Rob and particularly John Brown, who's probably the hardest hitting drummer I've seen since Bonham. Literally, I haven't seen anybody who hits that hard since seeing Zeb a couple of times. And it was just great to see band who were just so into it and who were putting on such a good show, because Calum's such a great frontman, getting the crowd involved and throwing beer everywhere, as is his point. Except in my direction.
I'm certainly looking forward to seeing these songs played live, so I hope we're able to do that sometime soon.
Yeah, there's a couple of songs. I think there's one that we haven't played live at all. I think that's Begotten we haven't played, but all the other ones they've been in the set for quite a while. So.
Right.
And we'll probably have some new stuff as well, I would imagine. I would hope, anyway.
Good. Mm-hmm. So let's wrap it up then. And where would you like people to find your music? Do you want to direct them to Bandcamp or some Facebook?
Yeah, Bandcamp. Is it just under Electric Mother and Bandcamp, I think?
I think so, yeah.
It's on Bandcamp. We've got a digital release for streaming on this Saturday coming for like Spotify and iTunes and all the rest of the other ones. We did a physical release before that on Bandcamp to make sure people bought the actual physical album, But Bandcamp's probably the best. You can go to Grooves and buy it as well. It's there. Is anywhere else, Colin?
I think we will be having some LPs in Union Vinyl and Inverness once things open up a bit more down here. Mm-hmm. But yeah, Bandcamp's probably one of the best platforms for artists, as they're guaranteed money from every sale or stream or digital download from there. So yeah, it's good, and it helps us. It's obviously not the cheapest to produce things on vinyl or CD or things. So a lot of that money comes out of our pockets. So yeah, streaming is awesome because it's there. It's on your phone. It's in front of you. It just doesn't contribute that much towards the band. Personally.
No.
Right.
It's kind of like a necessary evil, really, isn't it?
Yeah, everybody got to do it.
Well, yeah, it's been in the news recently about how artists are getting ripped off by Spotify and so on.
Yeah.
It's only like, is it 0.006 pence or is it 0.06 pence per play?
0.007 pence or something, I think.
Yeah.
If you get on a big playlist, you could be laughing because you could get thousands upon thousands of plays in the course of a day, and you could be laughing. But I think they kind of need to address how they do that stuff, because obviously big bands get paid a lot more than what the small bands do, But that's just unfortunately the nature of the business at the moment.
What I don't understand is that Spotify supposedly has always operated at a loss, and I don't see how that's possible when the executives are multi-millionaires.
Doubt that. Yeah, I would highly doubt that.
Yeah, there was an interesting article about somebody from Bulgaria that managed to scam Spotify for 1 month for £250,000 in a month by making 21,000 playlists or something like that of his own music and just having them on repeat for a month until they found him. So it was scammed. I thought it was quite clever.
Sounds like a lot of work, though.
Yeah, but
if you're in lockdown,
well, I suppose that's true. Yeah, nothing better to do.
Yeah. No, it was quite clever, I thought.
I remember getting an email from the first album with our first royalties from Spotify, and I was all excited. I was like, "Oh yes!" And I clicked through the link, logged in. I was like, "Oh, what's it going to be? What's it going to be?" And it was 76 pence. Awesome.
Yeah. Well, let's hope things improve anyway. Well, wish you all the best with
thank you very much.
The touring when it happens, and or playing live, and for the next album. So, thank you for joining me for this discussion.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks, man.